and you are one of the top voices and the top, anchors and cornerstones for the entire population. I was looking up some statistics, so correct me if I'm wrong, but for TBI, it affects roughly 2.5 million people a year.
That's right.
And it estimates about 50,000 deaths. So those aren't small numbers. And so the fact that you were consistent throughout the entire month to raising awareness and helping people understand what exactly is TBI, what are the different classifications for it, and how, most importantly, in my opinion, for recovery is how to be an advocate and also an ally for it.
See that I think you everything you said there is just so right. And I set myself a personal goal throughout March because it's only 1 month, and it always seems weird when you say, "Oh, it's XYZ month." I get it. I love that there's awareness, but when the month ends, it doesn't end. It just carries on for the rest of those days. So I set myself the task in March to post something every single day, and I'm regularly post anyway, about traumatic brain injury and brain injury awareness. And I was sort of coordinating with the American brain injury awareness because in Canada, it's actually in June. So, hey, we like to be different. And
Usually that's our role
yeah,
in the US. Take something that works and have our own spin to it.
it just means I get two bites of the cherry, so I'm not really complaining. But the thing is, and you mentioned warrior, you don't get to be a warrior if you don't come out with battle scars. You have to earn that title, and I don't like titles, but that journey does not come easily. And rainbows, I wanted to show the true face of it. I wanted to get really into it and explain why and the statistics and how that happens. And I looked at different things. So there was obviously the military, everyone associates that. Then there was accidents, domestic violence, addiction, suicide. It's almost like a complete circle, but people only see a very small part. And for me, awareness is the biggest gift you can give anyone, is awareness, because when you give awareness, it chases away the fear and doubts.
Absolutely. Awareness before change. I mean, that's a fundamental principle for any kind of warrior journey. And it's interesting though, because when you were talking about TBI and all the different communities, right? Whether it's like the military, that's pretty obvious. Domestic violence, definitely obvious. I'm surprised that you didn't mention athletes, because my knowledge is that football players, there's actually quite a lot of football players that end up with concussions, but maybe like undiagnosed concussions because it's very physical. And then they end up with TBI, a little too much
Yeah, no,
contact.
I must, I did. It's kind of difficult to remember all, but absolutely, when people say, "Oh, it's just there is nothing mild about anything."
Yeah.
It's a brain injury, and before COVID, I coached a local high school team at rugby, and
Mhm.
of course, like football, I mean, there are potentially more injuries at football because you've
Mhm.
got the padding on, so you think you can run
People hit
harder.
harder. Yeah, people hit harder because of
Exactly.
the padding. I'm like, you guys are
So
goofy.
you rattle your brain around inside the helmet, but that has a big effect. And
Yeah.
one of the big things as a coach is the concussion protocols to play again.
Mhm.
And I am really pleased that sport is taking it seriously. I also see there's a lot of sport veterans now coming forward and saying, look, this is a problem. Even soccer, heading the ball. I
Mhm.
mean, that
Yeah.
comes at a fair pay. But you see, awareness, I think
Yeah.
people being brave, people stepping forward to
Mhm.
share their experiences, heroes, heroes of who we and actually learning about what their journey is, because it's all hush unless they actually
Mhm.
are prepared to take that stand.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with you 150%. I think a lot of times people get really nervous about breaking their silence and talking about things for whatever reason. I mean, there's plenty of reasons that you stand to lose a lot. You stand to have your mental stability challenged. With the TBI, it's very interesting because I know there's a lot of I don't know, athletes are idolized. And so when you talk about mental health or invisible wounds, and that's exactly what it is, a TBI is an invisible wound. There's not always a connection with any kind of physical type things and or like visual type things. And if they come back, and how do you go from professional top of the game, and then you're like, this is what I'm struggling with, it's humbling. A lot of people, they might not want to talk about it specifically because of that image.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, taking a risk and being vulnerable yourself, and people talk a lot about being authentic, and I
Mhm.
do believe that. Being, I mean, one thing, the what I have found is that mental health, when you're in it, it is it's almost like it tries to make you feel alone, disempowered, and helpless.
Yeah.
And as soon as you start turning that light of awareness on it, then you, in my view, you start getting that power back, because you start realizing that you are not the only one. And
Yeah.
as soon as you start shining the light around, you start seeing all these other people. And it's not because you want to have a pity party, it's actually
Mhm.
because you do realize that there are far more people who are on their, nobody knows the battles people fight in private. And
Yeah.
so I think it's, and that's why I like awareness
Mhm.
things, because actually that could save and change somebody's life right now.